Rates Weather University on WRIC Now is sponsored by Blank & Marcus, attorneys at law. Nice guys working to make a difference.
And hello, everyone. It's another day for Weather University here. I'm Stormtracker 8 Meteorologist Matt DiNardo. And, we have so many cool things to talk about. Oh, wait, did I use the word cool? That's right. A little taste of fall coming our way over the next couple of days. You'll feel a little bit of it today, but certainly a lot more over the next couple of days. And could we have the chance of frost maybe coming in as we get toward the upcoming end of the week? Maybe for some, it's a possibility for sure. Well, everybody wants to know, if we're going to get cool weather, when are we going to finally see some of the great fall foliage that we see around here? So I brought up a map here, and I want to kind of show you what I'm looking at. And the main story here is it's late here in Virginia. It's late here, especially in central Virginia. Now, I know the color coding might be a little bit tough to follow here, but if we go backward, I think it's probably the best way to do it. So we look at the gold, which is all of our coastal locations, all areas south and east of Petersburg down to Emporia, West Point and the eastern sections of the Northern Neck. You can see there, that's like the first week of November, really. That's when we start to see some decent colors. By the way, ask your questions. We're going to be able to take those questions from you live, and we'll be happy to talk about them. Then you back up just a bit, and you see that next set of orange there, including Richmond, Henrico, Chesterfield, let's say Colonial Heights, North Petersburg, all the way back to Blackstone, Farmville, Dillwyn, areas up to Fredericksburg and west. That's October 19th to the 26th. Then you go a little bit west of that and you head up into the higher hills of the mountains. You see October 12th to the 29th. So about where we are right now, and the higher peaks of the Shenandoah Valley and Blue Ridge Mountains, they kind of peak last week through now. But you got to be high up in order to get them. So just keep in mind to see the really good colors. So basically, if you want to use kind of a target, Halloween is kind of a good time for us to see good foliage around here. Now, I know some of you have those early season maples that are starting to change. Some of that has to be with the fact that they're a little bit stressed out from that warm, dry period we had in June and early July. Then we did have some rain in August, of course. So, trees get stressed pretty badly. So why do the leaves change? Well, in our leaves, we have a chemical called chlorophyll. And that kind of fills the veins or the lines that you see of the leaves, and it promotes the growth of the leaf from a tiny bud all the way to a full-blown leaf. And in that, it's able to grow because of the water, the sunlight, and of course, it takes in carbon dioxide and emits oxygen. One of the reasons why plants are so good, helps us breathe. Well, what starts to happen is as the sun comes out of summer, where the high sun angle is great, and gets lower, of course, our days start to get cooler. And as it gets cooler, what begins to happen is the water and the sugars that come up through those leaves and move into our neck of the woods, well, unfortunately, or into the vein of the leaf, unfortunately, start to kind of go down just a bit. And we start to see that chlorophyll change. Folks, this is an amazing time. So let me show you what's going on right now. You see that little flashing button? That means that my batteries are low on my remote. Now, luckily, I have batteries and a screwdriver here. So we got to do a little operation. So I'm going to vamp here for just a second. And again, just a reminder, you can ask your questions at any time. We'd be very happy to answer those questions, whether it has to do with our cool weather that's upcoming or a little bit more on what's going on with the leaves changing. We got all kinds of great stuff to talk about. Plus, we're also going to look at the tropics coming up in just a bit. Although, we're done with Milton, we're done with Helene in terms of tracking them, the cleanup still continues in many areas. And I'm just noticing that I have, this is where we get into trouble, I have triple A's and the box is for double A's. So I'm going to ask my producer, Julia, if she can go to the Weather Center, and you'll see two boxes If you could bring me a box of AAAs, that would be great. Okay, very good. We're gonna talk more about this. So, obviously, Helene, the major cleanup in North Carolina, in South Carolina, in northern Georgia from the flooding, that's still going on, and we're talking months and months of rebuilding for many, and if people even want to rebuild. And I know some of those towns, those homes, those areas have been in the families for generations. Then you look at Milton, right? Which hit some of the same area of Florida in terms of storm surge. Then we had the rain, and then the over 24 tornadoes that formed as Milton was coming up, and some of those tornadoes, EF2, EF3 strength. So really, really strong stuff there. So there's just so much cleanup still in Florida, and there's still so many gas stations without gas, unfortunately. So that's a problem. They are trying to bring in gas not only by bringing trucks in, but they're bringing tankers into the ports throughout Tampa to get those offloaded as quick as possible to fill the gas stations up. And there's still many without power. Thank you so much, Julia. Nope, those are AA's. I need triples. Triples, yes. Oh, well, that's a problem. We're going to need to get an engineers for some AA's. Did you ever have some fun? We always have some fun. Anyway, so they're trying to bring in gas through the ports, as I mentioned, and then there's still so many without power. Although they are hoping that 100% of the power will be restored by tomorrow evening. That's the latest numbers that I heard early this morning. So there's just a lot going on, obviously, with the cleanup from Helene and from Milton, and there's going to be for quite some time. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's talk about this. So we're talking about fall foliage, and we're in this graphic here, and the reason why we're paused, if you're with us again, I am waiting for new batteries because my clicker just decided to go kaput, and you know how it goes. But so we get the longer daylight in the summer, right? Higher in the sky, a lot more sun energy coming in. The plant is thriving. The leaves are growing bigger and bigger. We're getting the sugars, what we call the chlorophyll, into, and it's helping the leaf out. But then as the sunlight starts to go down in elevation, it's not as strong. Our days start to get shorter. We don't heat up as much. And that chlorophyll starts to lock up in the leaves. And the sun is able to bake on that chlorophyll and start to produce the colors that we see. And whether it's the beautiful oranges or the deep purples or the bright yellows, many different colors, of course, in our leaves. And it all depends on the types of leaves too, right? Our sugar maples are a lot more vibrant than the oaks, which kind of get a little red and then turn kind of that burnt color. So there's quite a bit going on. Julia, thank you so much. So yeah, there's lots of different things, and then there's so many different sycamores, big leaf. Really get a very vibrant yellow, sometimes turn a little bit like a burnt color fast, but we definitely do have some great colors across the region. All right, so we got this rolling. I'm going to leave this open for just a second, and here we go. So here we go. This is what I was talking about, where the sunlight decreases, and the plant is not producing that chlorophyll as greatly, and it's starting to kind of bake on the area. And that's starting to create this color change. And sometimes it goes from that orange to that brown rather quickly. Sometimes it even goes to that beautiful brighter color. So what gives us the bright colors? What gives us kind of the not so bright colors? Well, if we have a usually hot fall, and really we haven't had that. We were certainly a little bit warm in September, but it wasn't anything too great. And then October's been pretty seasonable. That can help to give us some really vibrant colors. If we're too hot, then things don't happen as good as we want. We really want those cold, crisp nights as well. And we want a good amount of moisture. Well, this is where things are going to get interesting, because we were dry in July. We were dry in June. We did get quite a bit of rain in August. We got quite a bit of rain in spurts in September. And then October has been dry. So we might have more of some muted colors. That's something we are going to have to see how it all plays out. So where are we right now? Well, as we looked at the peak, and we'll talk about the peak again, we are seeing very little color across most of central Virginia. We do have some moderate color back into the higher hill country of the Shenandoah Valley and into the Blue Ridge. We then get into peak color, and the extreme highest peaks of the Blue Ridge are now past peak. But you get some colder temperatures there, things accelerate a little more. And again, just to look at the peak, right, we don't really see the peak here in Richmond until about Halloween, give or take a couple of days either way. Whereas south and east of Richmond, it's not until the first week of November, maybe around Election Day. So just something to keep in mind there. So that's kind of what we're looking at when we say with leaf colors and timing. All right, so there's always really cool things coming our way, and that is the fact that Halloween, since we're using it as our time frame for peak color, is 17 days away. Thanksgiving is 45 days away. The first day of winter is 68 days away, and you better get shopping because Christmas is now 72 days away. So that's kind of our holiday timeline, if you will. All right, in the tropics, here's what we have going on. We have a tropical wave, that little X there, and that little cluster has about a 50% chance of developing in the next 7 days. It's something to watch, not something to get overly concerned about. However, that water that leads through the Caribbean islands into the South Bahamas is running way warmer than normal. Tell me if you've heard this before, right, with the Gulf of Mexico and how storms ramp up. So we're concerned about that. Now, currently, there is some shear out ahead of this, meaning there's some winds that are going to rip it. That's why in the next 2 days, we're not looking at much. But again, we're going to watch this carefully and see how this all pans out. Now, for those of you asking, is this going to hit Florida? The answer is I hope not, right? I mean, it's too early to tell. A lot of our weather models, and I know that last week, and some people even asked me about this, hey, I'm seeing this stuff posted, Florida's going to get hit a third time. Well, all those models have changed again. And that's why it's very difficult to believe in tropical forecasts, more than 10 days out. Sometimes some of the models could give us an idea, but usually it's an idea here, and then it kind of changes and fizzles out. And that's kind of now, can it reform? Can it make that change? It can again, sure. Again, that's why I'd say it's something to watch, not something to get overly concerned about. All right, our weather. So we talked a little bit initially about the tropics, right? About the fall colors. And the reason why we brought on that is because we have some cool weather coming. We're going to hit 74 today. Mostly sunny skies, turning a little bit breezy. And as we go into tomorrow, looking at 60, but extra clouds coming on in and a few pop-up showers. And then you look at Wednesday, 61, Thursday, 62, Friday, 67. But look at those overnight lows, Wednesday night into Thursday and Thursday night into Friday. Looking at 39. You see the words there, frost, north and west. Well, here's a better way to show you the morning lows. The average morning low right now is about 50, going down to about 47 as we get into next week. And you notice we're going to be in the upper 30s. And I think frost is a good bet for those, or at least a chance of it, in Louisa, Culpeper, western sections of Goochland, western Powhatan, Fluvanna counties, Cumberland, Buckingham County, Thursday morning, and maybe again Friday morning. Now, is it going to be a widespread killing frost? No, but I would certainly stay up on top of the latest forecast because this is the time of year where many people have potted plants. They've been outside all summer, thriving. You don't want to lose them, so we might want to bring those in Wednesday night. We'll keep you posted on how that all goes. Now, you saw this 8-day forecast. Let me just back up for just a second. And after the chance of a few showers tomorrow, notice how it's dry, but also notice the warm-up that comes toward the weekend. And by the weekend, by the way, the average high is about 70 degrees. Well, let me just jump ahead here for you, because when we go from early next week to the end of next weekend, so we're talking 26, 27, 28 now, we're going to be looking at above average temperatures, not just across the Commonwealth, but across pretty much the entire country. Now, that doesn't mean we're talking blazing hot, because if the average high is 70 by the weekend, and by the end of next week it's 69, then we're looking at, above normal temperatures, 73, 75, maybe 76. And overnight lows will be a little bit warmer as well. Not going to have those 30s that we are going to have later this week. So that puts it above normal. We're also going to continue to run this very dry weather. So outside of the few showers that are possible tomorrow, we're talking very dry through the 28th and probably beyond that, maybe even through Halloween. So just something to keep in mind. We'll see how November starts off. But so far for the month of October, we have only had just over a half inch of rain, and all that fell on the 1st of October. Since then, it has been very dry, and as we're showing here, based on the 8-day and the 8 to 14 day temperature and precipitation outlook, that dry weather is going to continue. All right, that's the latest I have for you on our tropics, on why leaves change, and our forecast. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and look forward to seeing you at the next Weather University next Monday.